Aloha Audleyites. It has been a while since I've done an Audley Analyzes video, so I am finally back with one. Going to be looking at Commonly from Leftovers, who Leftovers recently placed second in our most recent online qualifier tournament. They managed to take down EG on their way to the finals, where they lost 3-0 to Allegiance. So I wanted to take a look at one of the players who hasn't really been in the spotlight very much. Kind of new face on the scene. Talking about Commonly, he was with Crowd Pleasers early on in Halo 5, eventually found his way to a team currently calling themselves Leftovers with Victory X, Spartan, and Cloud. I'm going to be looking at Eden Slayer because it's a game type I don't believe I've done a video on just yet. So we're going to take a look at Commonly and see what kind of player he is and see exactly what he does for this Leftovers team, who performed very well in their best of 5 series against Evil Geniuses this past weekend. So we'll see how big of an impact Commonly has with this team. And off the start, I'm actually going to pause for 1 second because we see Frosty throwing grenades up towards Sniper, so we're going to see where that sniper rifle goes before we switch back to Commonly, because I think this is one thing that might need to be paid attention to. We see the sniper rifle is going flying. And those grenades he threw off the start send it up onto this top catwalk, and that goes right into the hands. It's not letting me change points of view because I am stupid and not in. Okay, there we go. You see Commonly ends up running into the shotgun player, Blue Alley, while Frosty took the sniper away from CLG. Now we see Commonly, since his team is down 5-0, he knows he's got to get a weapon that'll help them take back control. I assume his team doesn't have rockets since they have 5 deaths already. So he's taking the Hydra, and this is a great weapon for getting a pick off, because it takes just a quick moment to get a lock on. You won't even see the lock on most of the time when you're spectating, but you just get a little bit of a lock and then you back down and you start firing. As he did there, you see him get 2 hit markers, doesn't quite get the kill, but he weakened the player, and then he helps his teammate Victory X get a kill. A really patient play so far. And now you see him challenging Frosty, and what he's doing here, he's trying to get Frosty's attention so Victory X can push in on Frosty without Frosty putting shots on him. And Commonly is baiting that situation. Unfortunately, Victory X runs into 3 players inside the base there. Commonly gets shots put in him from Blue Plat, but gets an assist at the very least. But CLG fight off the push from both Commonly and Victory X in that situation. See, he's picking up the SMGs, which is a very small overlooked factor, or easily overlooked factor of gameplay. And he's just trying to get an angle on this player. Takes a good route to help with Cloud, to keep Cloud alive in that situation. And we see Frosty using a nice head glitch here. Commonly may not have seen him for a couple of seconds. I think he definitely sees him at this point. But he should know he's got a teammate pushing in over here. He only needs to put in a couple of shots and then just stay alive. And since no one actually has a sightline on him, he can just back up into the sniper area, especially since the barrels aren't up behind him. So he only needs to put a couple of shots into Frosty. And he ends up pushing Frosty out and chasing down the kill, while Cloud takes a route up high. Now Commonly has this sniper rifle. You can see he's challenging the light rifle. Light rifle showing how strong it is in situations at long range, especially on this map. It's so good at suppressing a sniper. Now we see Commonly and his teammate both walking out the door at the same time. This is a risky thing to do, especially if a grenade is coming their way. They don't get grenaded, and Cloud immediately starts backing off and taking a different route, while Commonly is continuing to try to look for this sightline with the sniper. He's just playing it really patiently, hoping the player will poke back out. This is something you'll see so many players do on this map, is just try to snipe from this one doorway on Eden Slayer. And it's just because it's so important to be able to push outside as a team. Here, he's moving out a little bit, potentially too far, because if he does get like ambushed from blue sneaky, he's going to be in a situation where he absolutely has to land a no-scope in order to win the fight, because he's so far out of cover that he won't be able to get back into cover from this situation. And he drifts back, and he's just barely looking at that sight line, and then he goes back to watching for the rocket flank. So no big surprises there. Barely spots Frosty poking out. And one thing I want to point out in this situation, I'm gonna rewind to where he died. One thing I want to point out in this situation, right after he fires snipe, he should have seen the light that lets him know that that is a Hydra, and he wastes, no, he doesn't waste his thrust. He doesn't actually thrust. So the moment he sees those shots coming out, he should have thrusted. I'm not positive on this, but I'm pretty sure thrusting cancels a lock-on. I know it keeps the plasma pistol from continuing to track you, but I may be wrong on this situation. But anytime you see someone firing the Hydra at you, you should try to thrust to get out of the situation. And here you see him getting flanked from the sneaky, but he does back up. He doesn't back up fast enough, and Snakebite manages to flank around him and take him out with the rockets. He kind of put himself into a bad situation there. Here he sees he's got two teammates ahead of him pushing into blue. He's still walking really slowly, and that gives Ogre 2 time to come out from behind him. He really needed to play that situation a little bit faster to make sure he could get away from anyone coming around behind him. May not have realized there were only 2 CLG players in the building ahead of him, so that could have been the factor there. He's jumping out bottom middle to the pit to chase a kill for his teammates. And we see him picking up the noob combo, yet now he's using this plasma pistol is such a strong weapon in this game. If you use the scope when you've got a charged shot, it has so much range for its tracking, and it almost will never miss unless they thrust away or they're like hugging a wall, basically. Here he can probably see Frosty coming this way, so he should know there's at least one person coming to his teammate. So he should be looking to help his teammate that's in this blue base, but he's completely turning around, probably responding to Cloud's call out. But he's abandoning his teammate who's being pushed, and this is the teammate with sniper, so this is kind of a misplay. He lets Victory X get taken out, and he also gets forced out of blue base because he started listening to a call out that he wasn't really in position to do anything about. So one thing you have to keep in mind as a player is to know which communication you can respond to, and not to respond to communication that's not relevant for you. And in that situation, he should have been helping Victory X. He puts a shot in his teammate as the teammate jumps in front of him. And one thing I want to point out here, he's got... Where did Tyler go? All three of Leftovers members are all in the same position, basically, pushing this one player in blue base. They're kind of running over each other's toes. Snakebite does get taken down, and they take back over the blue base, but if there had been any other CLG members in position, that could have been a really risky proposition for the Leftovers team. Like, one grenade could have done so much damage to their team there. It wasn't a terrible play by any means, but it is a little bit problematic if you start running over each other's toes rather than covering each other's angles. Here we see Commonly kind of trapped between a rock and a hard place. He seems to be dying in this one particular choke point over and over, and he gets taken out by the splinter grenade there, so his corpse dissipates, or disintegrates rather. And here we see him just letting his teammates push up ahead of him. He's kind of baiting his teammates a bit here. Spartan gets stuck by this plasma grenade and chases down the kill, so they're both dead in this situation. And we see Cloud picking up the rocket launcher, and one thing we see Commonly staying back while his teammate has the rocket launcher. If anyone pushes them, this is great, because it means they'll see Commonly first, and then Cloud can pop out with the rocket launcher and take them down. See Commonly's trying to keep them off of this sniper rifle. Frosty pops out with a noob combo and takes him down. Here he spawns right back outside with Cloud. He's just looking to find any of the CLG members. Doesn't really get any vision on Ogre 2, who is slightly exposed. And one thing I don't like what Leftovers are doing here, they're pushing in through a choke point with their rocket player leading. What they should really be doing, Commonly should be the one going first so he can see who's in here, and if there is anyone just waiting for him, he can then thrust backwards and let Cloud come in with the rockets and just immediately kill whoever was fighting Commonly. By sending in the rocket player first, you're putting your rocket player to where he's got to make a good rocket at, in this particular situation, at long range in order to clear out this base, while Commonly isn't really able to like switch as strongly as Cloud. And you see what happens, the 1 for 1 in this situation, and Commonly's kind of trapped between two players, and he was forced to back down from his push. Now we see him crouching across bottom middle, and Frosty spotted him, and Ogre 2 was in position to take him out. And it was just Commonly had nowhere to go after that push into the base was stopped. And if he had gone first, there was a much better chance that Cloud could have landed both rockets, because the players would have been focused on dealing with Commonly, who could have focused on trying to stay alive, or just like went in hard and threw his body away, his life away, to get Cloud into the base. So you really want to consider sometimes not sending in your rocket player first and just making a selfless play to use your body as extra health, like as a disembodied overshield, so to speak, for your rocket player. Here he misses his jump, gets taken down. You hate to see it. Shit happens. Spawns outside next to a no shields teammate. I'm going to check one thing as I pause. Victor X does have new rockets. So Leftovers having good rocket control so far this game. But again, we see Commonly just sitting back. He actually gets hit by a very good grenade there. And he's just letting his rocket player be the front liner. And I mentioned in the last play why I don't like that situation. It's okay if you're outside and letting players come to you, because then your rocket player can poke out and be like, peekaboo! But in situations where you're pushing, or like what just happened is both of them died due to a shotgun waiting around the corner when Commonly tried to take a separate angle, or in the previous time it was just the rocket player was forced to make a play and didn't have the angle he needed. You see he's picked up the Hydra again. As I mentioned, this is a great weapon for trying to get a pick off when you don't have control, because you just need a brief moment of sightline. Royal 2 making a great shot there to just quickly line up that shot as he poked through the window. Commonly had no time to react and back down. See, not a lot of assists on most of the Leftover squad, except for Cloud. And the Rockets are already primed to be coming back up. Leftovers don't need to push at all. They just need these rockets so they can try to come back into this game. But we see Commonly trying to make a play. He's pushing in, being really aggressive, but what he didn't see was this right here. Frosty was waiting around the corner. Ogre 2's already rotating back, so he's going to die no matter what happens in this situation. And he ends up being the last kill of the game, because they pushed when they only needed to wait 30 seconds for new rockets. So they probably got a little bit antsy there, panicked, figured, hey, maybe we really need blue control, we don't need to worry about these rockets. But they had the setup around rockets and just pushed away from it and went ahead and said, hey, you guys can have this win. And that ended up being what happened, is that CLG took the win. Overall, it was fairly good play from Commonly, but it does look like he has a tendency to bait his teammates just a little bit. He likes to not be the one pushing first, except there at the end you did see him push first, and he pushed into 3 players basically. But I'd like to see him play a little bit more aggressive in some situations, or just take safer sight lines, not just necessarily following his teammates, and especially play a little bit more selflessly when he doesn't have the power weapons, to help get the pressure off those players with the power weapons so they can make big plays. But that's going to be all for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and until next time, I will leave you with my usual not greeting, opposite of greeting, goodbye. That will be an aloha.